That's good. So today we are going to look at a very important topic. Um, this topic sometimes raises a lot of concern, and a lot of developers, some of the developers are me, they don't really care about it. But those who look at the way web designing is really care about all these stuffs. You understand? Because the world that we live is not only for us only. There are those who cannot access things in an easy way. Maybe initially they were able to get all things easily, but maybe due to some circumstances, um, they could not be able to access the internet as it should have been. You understand? So we all have to think about them. Understand? At the end of the day, we are all humans, and then through life, we get into many difficulties. So, in order for the world to be, to help us all and all of us benefit whatever we are doing, we should always think about those who are disabled and they cannot access the internet freely and without using other means. You understand? So that is why this topic is important. And then let me see. So today we are looking at the HTML best practices and then the accessibility, you understand, to access internet, to access website, like for everyone, you understand. So let's dive in. I think I'm going to use the W3 school. I understand. So looking at because this is a broad topics, and I don't think we can finish all, but then I'll try to go through all of this. You understand? Some of them you've already seen them, but I have to also remind you about this in case whenever you are developing or you are designing your code, you will remember them. You understand? Are you with me?
Yeah.
All right. So what is going on? What is accessibility? And it's simply like, as I told you initially, the internet is for everyone, but it won't be unless we make it so.
Yeah.
You understand? Said by Vincent in April 1999. You understand? So let's look at the brief history. Um, the principle that everyone should be able to use the web equally, regardless of any disability, is as important today as it was 20 years ago. People who have limited use of their arms, people who cannot hear or see well, and people who process information differently should all be able to access and use websites and apps. Web technologies have many built-in features for accessibility, and we as web developers should know them so that we do not exclude any of our users. There is no precise starting point of the history of web accessibility. This coming list of milestones is far from complete, but it's a brief history to introduce the basics. And so we cannot complete all of them, even them, they are talking about that. But as
Mm.
time goes on, we get to know some of them, learn them, and apply them inside our website to suit us all. You understand? So there are some people who lost their arms, some people cannot hear or see. So all of them, we have to consider them when we are building our website. So these are some of the history. In 95, Dr. Cynthia published a web design accessibility standard for the City of San Jose's Office of Equality Assurance. And one of the comments in
No.
the standard was that all images, right? Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm there. Your network is kind
Yeah,
of.
are you there? Yeah, okay. Okay, all right. So I understand. So as I was reading, and he's talking about one of the requirements that the when the publish was made was that all images must have an alternative text.
Mm.
Do you remember this, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of the practice. And up to today, web developers, a lot of them are doing that. This is one rule that is still valid today. And another requirement was that all pages should support text browsers. And that is not something we aim for any longer, even though text browsers still exist. You understand?
Mm.
So let's move on. And in 1996, Bobby, the accessibility testing software Bobby, was released a couple of years before Cynthia's published, right? So Bobby worked much the same way many of the current testing tools are working. HTML code was tested against a set of rules, and the result was a list of issues instead of a browser extension that did not exist back then. So back then, we weren't having that of like a browser extension now. So what they were doing with this Bob software was just to upload a local HTML file.
Mm.
Okay. Then in 97, there is the Web Accessibility Initiative. And they started as a W3C project in 96. And it's mostly known for the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG. They also provide a variety of strategies and resources for web accessibility. In 99, the same Tim Berners-Lee founded him as the World Wide Web. And the founder of what? World Wide Web is what? Tim Berners-Lee. You understand? And wanted everyone to have equal access to it. The W3C released 14 guidelines and 65 checkpoints about web accessibility. Many of them are still a part of the WCAG, but we get into that, some of them. And then we have in 2021, we have Weave. It's also another tool released by who? Dr. Lane Casday, taken over by Webim in 23, and which is a still popular tool by many developers and accessibility experts. Right? Okay, we shall see this kind of, I think I downloaded this Wave, and then we shall look at it. Okay.
Okay.
In 25, screen reader voiceover. Many blind people use a screen reader, a tool that transforms information on a screen to speech, right? So now you normally see a screen reader which transform information on a screen to speech. As the last
Mm.
time we did demonstrated one of it. VoiceOver is a native screen reader for Apple products. Today, VoiceOver is the most popular screen reader for mobile devices. Sometimes when you have your mobile device, when you type, there is a setting that you can change, and then it will be reading the screen or the text on your mobile phone for you.
Mm.
You understand? and the third most popular on desktop and laptop. VoiceOver was not the first screen reader, not even close. It is part of the brief web accessibility history. Because of the dominant market share on mobile devices, VoiceOver is only for Apple products. As you know how Apple do their things. Understand? The 27 screen reader, which is from the NVIDIA, understand? This NVIDIA is also known for Microsoft computers. Understand? Mostly look at it as those who are into graphic design, game developers, and some most of them even videos, like things related to movies, and then this kind of stuff that will increase the I mean the I mean NVIDIA, I think is like what should I say, graphic user interface. You understand? Because most of these gamers, they have a special things that they need for their game to play smoothly without any lagging, any problem. You understand? So most of them, a lot of them depend on, and this company or the Nvidia is mostly popular. Understand? So another popular screen reader was released as an alternative to expensive screen readers like JAWS in 2019, and it became the most common primary screen reader for desktop and your laptop. And NVIDIA or NVDA is only for Microsoft Windows computers. You understand? So the WCAG, which they name as, I think, version 2.0, the second version of their guideline was updated. You understand? And they added another 4 principle, which is what? Perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. So all these are part of the accessibility. You understand? So you always have to, especially when if you design an app, like maybe as time goes on, depending on your capability, as time goes on, you need to update it. So sometimes you have an app on your phone, and then maybe after 1 year, they will have another version and tell you to update. So that is something we are seeing here. So this is the second version, and they also have the 2.1, which is what the most used guideline today in current version. So this is what organization try to comfort. And the updated version had new guidelines about touch screens and mobile devices, as well as more guidelines about cognitive disabilities. So they are always trying to improve themselves, always try to look at or to also think about those who are disabled. You understand? So let's look at diversity. Diversity today is just like reading a lot, I understand, but the aim of the to let you understand some of all this accessibility which exists and which is important. There are close to 8 billion people in the world, you understand, and the World Health Organization, according to them, there are over 1 billion people with disabilities. You understand? Over 1 billion people with disabilities. So if we are going to consider all this, some will have maybe their one hand is cut or something like that, or maybe some lose one hand, some loses one eye, some cannot even see properly, and some have hearing problems. All of them are included. That's why it's disabilities. About 1 billion people. So if you are a developer, you also have to think about them, because you don't know what is going to happen to you the next day or the next years to come. You understand? So you also have to think about them. That is about 15% of the population. So access to information is what? A human right. What this poster is saying, we welcome all races and ethnicities, all religions, all countries of origin, all gender identities, all sexual orientations, all abilities and disabilities, all spoken languages, all ages, everyone, we stand here with you. You are safe here. You understand? Which is a photo by Brittany Benz on Unsplash. Unsplash is also another tool that you can get a lot of images. I mean, free source images. They are paid one, but a lot of them you can get free ones, and you can acknowledge the one who got the image. So this poster says it all. People are different, people are diverse. We must welcome everyone, regardless of race, religion, country of origin, gender, identity, sexual orientation, ability and disability, spoken language, or age. We think that web accessibility is about abilities and disabilities. It is also about spoken languages. Is your content written in an easy, understandable way for people with a different language background? Have you avoided text in images so that all text is translatable? Yani, so that all text is translatable. It is also about age. With age come challenges. So technical challenges, cognitive challenges, mobility challenges, diversity of abilities. A disability is not a yes or a no. All people, for many different reasons, experience varying degree of authority, auditory, cognitive, physical speech, and visual disabilities. We grow older, our health conditions change, we have good and bad days, we get ill, we have temporary.
Hello? No.
So here it gives about the groups of disabilities. You understand? And it grouped them into 5 groups. It groups the disabilities into 5 groups. Auditory, people with hearing loss. Remember, transcript for audio and caption for video. Cognitive, learning and neurological. People that may have challenges understanding information. Remember a clear structure, consistent labeling, predictable links, and plain language. And this help everyone regardless of ability or disability. So it gives you some of the group of those disability and give you a guideline that remember that to include a clear structure, consistent labeling, predictable links, and even plain language when you are developing.
Mm.
Physical, people with limitation in their muscular control, sensations, joint disorders, or missing limbs. And what remember to support assistive technologies like switches and voice recognitions, and to have sufficient target sizes. Target size is the size of an interactive element, the clickable or tappable area. We look at the speech. Some people are not able to speak. Do not make your service voice based only. Visual. People with reduced vision. They cannot see properly. Make sure text and images can be enlarged. You use sufficient contrast. Some people, when something is in contrast, they cannot even see properly. So make sure you arrange that you do not rely on color alone, and that the content support text to speech. So that if the person cannot see, he will just use text to speech to be able to know what exactly your website is about. So the text or the text will be allowed so that he can hear it. And so all these are some of the important guidelines for you to go. Look, the touch, the see, the hear, the speak, so that you may not, when you are developing, you know what to touch and what to include. Understand? So as I told you last time, always remember that you are not the user. You understand?
Mm.
You are not the user. As designers and developers, we often think that what can be used, accessed, and understood by us also is good enough for others. Never. Always think about that you are not the user. So internet is for everyone, but it won't be unless we make it so. Understand? So let's continue with the semantic elements. So if we are talking about all these things, then semantic elements, as we did, will come in, right?
Yeah.
Because semantic element gives us a meaning. So element with a meaning. So always when you are developing, first and foremost, think about semantic elements. Use semantic element instead of non-semantic element like div and span. So provide the user a good way to navigate and interact with your site. Make your HTML semantic. Semantic is about using the correct element in HTML. There are approximately 110 elements in HTML5. Two of them have no meaning, div and span. So can you tell me the difference between div and span?
The div is like when you are writing something, it goes vertically.
Which one?
The div.
Okay, and then the span
The span is goes horizontally.
goes horizontally. Okay, so this one is a block base and this one is inline base.
Mm.
Okay, so they tell us nothing about the content because they are non-semantic. They have no built-in accessibility features. You understand? The reason why it is important to use semantic element is that they have already built-in features, that is accessibility features that can help the disabilities. I understand. So we should always check to see if any other element are better suited. Example of semantic element, we have it right, form, table, article, we have what? We have section, right? What,
Mm.
what other can you remember?
Figure caption.
We have figure caption, yeah. What else?
We have main.
We have main, right? Okay, what else?
There's
We have what?
footers. You have footer. Like, footers.
Okay, we have footer. Yes, we have
Yeah.
footer. Okay, we have what again? Header.
Header.
We have what? Section. Okay, so all of them clearly define the content. You understand? So here it gives an example for like an Uber company or Uber website. Understand? Right? So in this example from Uber, we have 5 elements, right? So let's look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5 elements. We have heading, right? This heading. We
Yeah.
have what? Paragraph. We have paragraph, right? Then we
Yeah.
have button. This is a button. We have a link. This is a link. And we have an image. This is an image. So you have 5 elements, right? this element can be translated into HTML, right? H2, paragraph, button, link, and image. So is this correct? Even though sign up to Drive looks like a button, this sign up to Drive looks like a button, Uber has used a link instead of button. This is the code a bit simplified. Understand?
Mm.
So get in the driver's seat and get page, which is the head, paragraph, link, and another link, and image, right? So this semantically correct is the button is coded as link. You understand? So this button is coded as link because it behaves like a link. It takes the user to another view. It does not matter that the link is styled as button. It's still a link. But however, the button element should be used for any interactive or interaction that perform an action on the current page. And the link element should be used for any interaction that navigates to another view. You understand? So this is going to navigate to another view, right? So
Yeah.
now that you have learned the basics of semantic, let's check the semantic element we have. But we have done some of these semantic elements in a previous lesson. So we look at landmarks. What are the landmarks? Accessibility landmarks. Why? Why landmarks? With landmarks, blind users using a screen reader have the ability to jump to sections of a web page, right? So if you are blind and you are browsing the website, you have the ability to jump to a different web page or section in a web page instead of you trying to find your way. Understand? Because they have introduced landmarks inside, you've used the proper landmarks, it's easy for the person, the one who cannot see, to navigate through your website easily. You understand?
Mm.
Yeah, so if, for instance, I got this website here, digitalaccessibilitycenter.org. Understand? So looking at this website, if someone who is blind wants to use this website and he is using what? A keyboard because he doesn't see, he depends
Mm.
on keyboard to use this website. What he can do, he can use the tab to navigate because this was done or this has been used properly with the landmarks. So if the person wants to use, if I press like use a tab like this, can you see where my
Mm.
tab is going?
Yeah,
Can you see where my tab is going? Just look at
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You see. So because they've used a proper arrangement of the landmarks and proper arrangement of the accessibility features, when I press the tab, you see it moves smoothly. So the person
Mm.
can navigate using keyboard and be going. Understand? So far as if I activated maybe like a screen reader, when I move, it will be talking or saying things about where the person is. You understand? And
Mm.
it moves very easily. You understand?
Yeah.
So I can be the person will moving, just trying. You see how it goes? It moves
Mm.
and it highlights all the section in order and it's moving. So it doesn't necessarily have to go to the pages that it's not important for him. Understand? So that is how this kind of thing works. I hope you understand.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is asking? In HTML, there are some semantic elements that can be used to define different parts of a web page. We have the header. As we go here, we have the header, right? We have this header.
Yeah.
So the person can easily navigate to the header. He's inside the header now. You understand? And then a person can easily navigate to the nav. He came into the nav. Here, we are here. Now, right? Understand?
Yeah.
So that is how easy it is. We have all these semantic elements. Example from this White House website. The front page of the White House is using landmarks. Consists of what? Header. So some of the landmarks you can just put it in your mind as they are just what semantic elements. You
Mm.
understand? It consists of what? Header. So this is the header at the top. Main, this is the main, right? Containing all the main content and a footer with some nav elements at the bottom, right? With some nav elements at the bottom. You understand? So this is the header, right? This is the main content, and this is the what? The footer or the nav element, right? And
Mm.
then one way to visualize the landmark to use the tool which is accessibility insights. One of the feature is that it highlights the landmark as we can see in the following screenshot. So when I finish, I'll show you I downloaded one extension, which is Wave. I know here they are talking
Mm.
about accessibility insight, which is also good because it shows you something like this. It highlights all this as the landmarks, right? So for instance, if you
Mm.
go inside here and say, okay, let's look at how it is, you can get this. I think you can get it as an extension, maybe. I understand. But later you could go and look at some of this, although I will check it later. But for now, I'll finish this and show you the other one that I was talking about, right? So let me just show you the one I was talking about. For instance, if you open this labscape.com website, you see if I activated this extension. Can you see this
Mm.
extension?
Yeah.
The extension is called Wave. This is where the extension Wave Evaluation Tool. And what is Wave Evaluation Tool? When we read about it, look at how it is. It's very important. Like Wave is a web accessibility evaluation tool developed by webaim.org. It provides what visual feedback about the accessibility of your web content by injecting icons and indicators into your page. So if you're a developer and you worry or you think about others, then make sure you have this tool. It helps you to be able to know exactly if your website is accessible to other people. I mean those who are disabilities. You
Mm.
understand?
Yeah.
So how does it work? Just if you just add it to Chrome, let me share with you. Maybe later you can try it at your side. So I can share it with you now. Let me see. Right. I can share it with you in the chat. And then later you can just go there and add it as an extension. Let's add it as an extension to our Google Chrome because I already did that and added it. So when I come on the website here, right? I can
Yeah.
click on the wave. When I click on the wave, look at what happened. It automatically use an icon to select all of the sections. I mean, it look at the semantic elements and then selected some of them and give me an explanation or a result here. Can you see?
Mm.
It give me a result, like the details of the web page, like total overall of your the website is this. Here it give
Mm.
error, there is zero error, and then the contrast says it has two error. One alert is there. Then some of the features is correct. We have five. The structure, we have 12 structures. You understand? So all these things, and at the end of the day, the aim score it gives was 8.5 out of 10. So it means that this site uses a correct semantic element and is very good in terms of accessibility for blind people or for those who are disabled.
Mm.
You understand? Because it's rated it 8.5. You understand? And
Yeah.
wherever it has issues, it will alert you this is the way where you have some issues. So if you are a web developer or you are the one who developed this, you can go there, look at this, and then make sure you correct all this inside your website.
Mm.
You understand? So looking at this, immediately we put our cursor here. You see it highlighted it as red.
Yeah.
You understand? Giving us what? H1. So this one is H1. So let's continue the reference. When you come to reference here, we can click here, inside here. Just we can click inside one of them to read more about it. You understand? So if I click inside the H1, it gives me what? It's saying a heading level 1. A first level heading, I use what? H1 element is present. You understand? And if I want to read the code that they use, I can go there and look at the code. Click the code, and it give me the code. What did I use? H1. The ID I wrote type landscape, which is this landscape, and then inside user span, and then website accessibility testing. Website accessibility testing. Understand? So this is the code itself, and the reference is here. So it now, if you don't know anything about H1, it gives you the reference, talk about it more. Look at what it means. A first level heading H1 element is present, which is this, and then why it matters. So why this H1 matters? It gives you the explanation. Headings facilitate page navigation for users of assistive technologies. They also provide semantic and visual meaning and structure to the document. First level heading should contain the most important headings on the page, generally the document title. So the document title is this landscape, right? What to do,
Yeah.
ensure that the text in question is truly a heading and that it is structured correctly in the page outline. Understand? And we have the H1 element is present. Well, if you want to read more, you go here, you look at and read more about it, the heading. You understand? So it gives a lot of information about this. You can go here and click on this, and then it gives us the reference about this tool, which is bulleted list, but unadded list, right?
Yeah.
And then when we want to look at the code, we click the code, and it gives us this unordered lists. And inside we have lists, we have a link. Understand? So all of these we
It's
have,
explaining the text,
yeah.
coding text, the way.
Yeah, the way it is, the way you should use it inside there for the
Mm.
access for the disabled people. Understand? So it normally because you are a developer, it gives you a lot of information for you to access. And this website itself, it comes from those who develop the tool. I mean, yeah, no, not those who develop. I mean, this one is also a tested web accessibility website. You understand? So when you use a tool, it gives you a lot of information about what is happening in. And look at the even nicest way is that when I want to look at if I told you about the landmarks, so when the person is arranging reading the website, and if he's blind, he will depend on the landmarks, right? And they
Yeah.
even give you the order, how the person will navigate through the website easily. If I click on the order, look at what happened.
Mm.
You understand? It starts from where? Skip to content, which is also another very important thing. A lot of web designers are not using, but it's very important for the disabled people. It started from what? Skip to content. And skip to content, what does it do? When someone comes into your website, instead of you wasting time on the navigation bar, he can just quickly click on the skip content and it will bring him to the main content.
Mm.
You understand? Then it will skip here and bring him here to read the content. So no more reading all the navigation and all the links here. We just bring the person to the contents, which is in the main mostly. You understand?
Mm.
So look at the order arrangement. It started from skip to content, go to sitemap, go to home, about us, software testing, accessibility services, contact us, let's
Mm.
with links. It moves to the this read more, right?
Yeah.
Then it goes back to where this place. In order for you to contact them, right? You can mail them, understand, or here, contact form. You can fill the contact form. Assuming someone is blind, immediately he clicks all the he navigates through the landmarks. It will bring him here. If you want to write a message, bring him to the contact
Mm.
form, then the email is there. So the person, even if he's blind, he has access to the contact form that he can write and contact those who build the website, or if there's anything, then here they also have their email. So you can just directly use the email. You understand? So this is very important. And the way it's structured, it also give you this list as it was here. So you can also go
Mm.
look at how it's structured. And when you are building your website, you make sure you structure it perfectly. And then you use this wave to access or test your website. I understand. Right.
Yeah.
So we also have structure. Can click structure. Look at the structure. Understand? H1, H2, H2, H3, H1, H2, H2. Right? Look at the way it's structured. Very neat. The contrast,
Yeah.
they give you some of the contrast. Look at the score to pass the contrast gives 8.5 to 1 ratio. Understand? Mhm. So sometimes you can use the website to know exactly what is wrong with your website, or just check how your website will look if someone with a disability is going to use your website. You understand?
Yeah.
That is how it is. So all these are explaining about the landmarks. So how does it work? Look at it shows banner, understand some of the landmarks, content
Mm.
info. So these are some of the some of the this thing, what we call it, the properties. You understand? These are some of the properties. And we
Mm.
have, or the rule include this. So when you specify the rule property is what? Banner. Or the rule property is what? Content info. Or the rule property is navigation. You understand?
Mm.
And this is a bit confusing. The reason is that each landmark element has a corresponding rule. You understand? Each landmark that you have has its own corresponding rule. So that is why it's very important to depend on using semantic element, because semantic elements is already accessible. There's a both features inside, so you don't need to use any this rule within. You understand? Because some of them already come with that of the features, the accessibility features. But if you use like div or span, which are non-semantic, then you have to use the rule and give it the property banner. You understand? Mhm. So we get back to this later. So for instance, the header has a built-in rule of banner. You see, as I was talking about, because header is what? Semantic. So it has a built-in rule of banner. So this rule of banner, it's already built in inside this header. You understand? So assuming I'm going to open VS Code and then I open because I wanted to show you something, but let me see if it's come. I'll show you one thing. Okay, for instance, let me just take one. Okay, let me make it accessibility like this. Let's issue. Let me make it like this. Accessibility.html like this, for instance, right? So I'll give an example. So if you have something like what are you talking about? Like header, right? So if I have like header is semantic. This one is semantic. So if I say this is my header, and I say we're gonna open with show preview here. Then, so now this is my header, right? Not to open now. Open. Going to show preview, right? Then we'll have 7. Okay, so now it's stored. This is my header, right? So look at this. Here, because it is header, which we know it is semantic, right? But if I was to use div, because this div is non-semantic, you understand? I have to use a role. I have to give a role to this. You see role, and the role is, I will say banner. This, I will say the role is button. Or I will say the role is what? Checkbox. You understand? Or I will say article. I will say content info or complementary. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So now I have to give it a role. because this is non-semantic. So I have to give it a role for the accessibility, or when you are using screen reader to be able to understand that this one is, for instance, if here I can write something like heading. You understand? So the heading means
Yeah.
this is header. You understand?
Mm.
Because of the role. So it's talking about this div row is this. But if I'm using this heading, I don't need to bring this role again, because this header has an already built in this role inside it. So it make my coding simpler and easy. You understand? And also help the screen readers to read this, because when screen reader is reading this, he already know that this is header because it is semantic. It has
Mm.
meaning. Yes, but div doesn't have meaning. So I have to give it a meaning, which is the rule. So when the screen reader is reading, he now understand that this is not what semantic, but there is a rule which he can read now. Is this is heading.
Right.
You understand?
Mm.
So that's why we say using semantic element is easier and help the disabled people. You understand? So when you are building a
Mm.
website and you are thinking about the adding functional these disability functions or make it usable for all, you always think of this using a semantic element. You
Mm.
understand? So that is how it is. So the explanation here is the same thing that I was trying to talk about. So look at this. A header has a built-in role of banner. So here we see role, we can write here banner, right? So here is div. It doesn't have a role of banner because it is non-semantic, but the header already has. So we don't need to put this inside. So that's why it is explaining here. This means that both header, this rule banner, and div rule banner are more or less equivalent. For most cases, header would be sufficient. So you just use this header when you are going because it is semantic, right? So the same is true for nav, which has a role of navigation, right? So if I have a navigation, nav, I don't need to put anything like rule and put navigation. No, I don't need this thing, navigation, no. The browser already knows nav has navigation. So I don't need to bring this navigation inside. You understand? So I don't need to bring this. But if I were to use div, inside the div, I'll bring this navigation rule as navigation
Mm.
because it is non-semantic. So that is how you have to understand. Both in main 2 is easier. It has also what? Main. So if I have main like this, it's semantic. So I don't need anything inside. But if I have div like this, inside I'll give a role and say I need what? Main. Because div is what? Non-semantic. But this is semantic. It has a built-in role inside. So I don't need to add this role. Right? You always have to understand this. This we say this one is what? Attribute, right?
Yeah.
Are you there?
Hello? Yeah.
Are you with me? So
Yeah.
you said this one is what? An attribute, right? So
Yeah.
this one is a property of the attribute. Normally I say value, but normally the correct word you can say property, right?
Property.
Because we have a role and each property is this navigation.
Mm.
You understand? So we have also footer, and the role of footer is what? Content info. You understand? So we have footer. The role of footer is what? Content info. Each role is what? Role of the footer is what? We have role. We have what? Content info. So this is the role of a footer. But because the footer already has this role inside, I don't need to put it inside. But if I was using div, inside the div, I will give role content info. So the browser knows that this is a footer. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's like we are saying that this role here that we put is what describing, or it is equating this. You understand? Even though we use div, because div is non-semantic. So that's why we are trying to explain to the browser that this is a footer, because each row is content info. You understand? The role of a header is what? Banner. Right?
Yeah.
The role of nav is what? Navigation. The role of main is what? Main.
Mm.
And the role of footer is what? Content info. So you have to understand this. If you are not going to use header, then make sure you remember the role and use div, which is not semantic, and give a explanation to the browser that this is a role as banner. So this role as banner now represent header. So if the screen reader is reading, when it reaches here, he knows that we have what? A header here, which we say banner.
Mm.
You understand? So
Yeah.
that's how it works. But in order to be easier and not trying to remember this role or the names of the roles, why don't you use the semantic elements, which are this, right?
Yeah. I think it's the easiest way.
Just use it and continue your job. Use main, and then you use footer, right? So these are non-semantic. So you can say non non-semantic with each rows, and then we have what? Semantic understand. Or we can say semantic with built-in, or we can say already built-in rows. Understand? So here we don't need to add any rows, but here we need to tell them so that the browser will understand these are the same as this.
Mm.
You understand? So that's how you need to understand it easily in that way. Right? So let's continue. So more than one of each landmark, a rule of thumb is only use one main per page. You understand?
Mm.
So if you decide to say, me, I'm going to use the semantic element, then the rule of thumb or the rule is saying that don't try to be using many main like this. Just use one. You understand? Because in your website, you have only one main, like in the center as the main, because the main is like a body where we have the main content, where you want people to read a lot of things there, like to know exactly what your website is all about. So it's like normally it's in the index page, you understand,
Mm.
or the home page. But it can be in any page. It's just that it should be main. You have to have one main inside the website. That's the rule of thumb.
Mm.
You understand? So you just have one main. So here you can see they have one main. So look at this big area is their main. So whatever it is here, it is talking about the main website. And here is the footer, and here is the header. So it's like we are dividing this into three: header, main, and then the footer. You understand? So inside the main, we can decide to bring our sections inside. So the section can be inside, the aside can be inside, the article can be inside here. You understand? So you cannot say you have main and you come down and say you have another main. It doesn't look nice because the main should contain all of whatever you are going to to build in. Then after you finish, then you come to the footer where you are ending the website. You understand? So just like we are dividing the website into three: header, main, and then what? Footer. So normally that's why they give you a rule of thumb, just use one main. Understand? When we use more than one type of landmarks, like multiple nav, like in this example, we must label each of them. And this is done with the attribute called area label. This. Understand? If you want to have different nav link, for instance, in the heading here, we can have nav link here. And inside the footer, we can have another Another links or another nav links, right? So make sure you label them using this attribute area label so that the screen reader will know that you have two navigation bar, which is inside the heading here, and the second one is here. So when you are naming, you can put primary or secondary. Understand? So if you look at here, what does it say? Primary footer navigation, secondary footer navigation, social navigation. So because they have a lot of nav here inside. So you have to label it. So if we come inside here, even though we say you have to use this, right? Nav, because it is semantic, right? So if it is semantic and you don't want to use only one, you want to use three, let's say three of them. So how do you want the screen reader to know that you have three different nav inside your website? And you have to tell the browser so that the browser will know this one is the first one, the second one, the third one. So that's why it says that even though you are using the nav, if you use another nav, you see you give this and you give it what? This thing here, look at area label, right? So you see area label, and then the label you give it maybe primary, right? And then here you see I have another nav secondary. And then you say, oh, maybe I have another nav, maybe secondary, maybe thirdly, right? Or maybe you can change the name. It depends on how you feel. Maybe you can say this is primary, secondary, but maybe this is at the footer and you want to name it as navigation bar. And something like to just make sure that it doesn't change it or it doesn't lose the correct order. You understand? So that when the screen reader is reading, it knows that this is the first, right? This is the second, and this is the third. So it can differentiate between them. You cannot come and tell me, oh, this is the what? Primary. You write primary here. And then you write maybe this is what? Thirdly. And you write maybe something like fourthly. It is not in order. So you mean that the browser or the screen reader will first come here, primary, right? Thirdly, and fourthly. So this is not in order. So always tell the browser or this in the screen reader to understand how your website is structured. So that's why they said structuring in order is very important. And the same thing I demonstrate inside this website for you when I was using the screen the wave tool, right? Look at here, it is order. So when I click here, look at 1 is here, 2, 3, 4, it goes. You understand? So
Yeah.
you always have to understand this one. So use area label, right? So in the
Yeah.
footer of the White House, we have 3 nav as here. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 nav inside the footer, right? So what did they do? They use area label to give it a name. And the first name is primary footer navigation, secondary footer navigation, and social navigation, right?
Yeah.
So the screen reader knows that this one is the primary, the secondary, and this one is the social. So you can easily differentiate between them by using the attribute called area label. It's very important. In the footer of the Y, we have now an each with an area label. That's what I was describing. Area label, which is a social navigation. This means that a screen reader user can skip directly to the social navigation, right? A helping hand. Some will say that to use the word navigation is redundant. There is no right and wrong. You understand? They are saying just because you added navigation, is in social navigation, but it depends on you. And so you can just use social so that it will differentiate it from all this navigation. We also have aside, which is also a semantic. We have section, which is also semantic. Ever since the landmark were introduced to HTML, developers have been confused. Two of the elements that people find vaguely defined are the aside and section. You understand? Let's clarify. You said the big difference is that an aside is related to the main content and the section is not related. So anything that is related to the main content, like let's say you have an aside element or aside content that is related to the main. You understand? Then it is called aside. But anything that is not what related to the main, it is different. How? So here it is what the White House, and here it said it gave this, and here it gave another links there. So let's look at what it's saying. The contact page of the White House, both an aside and section. You understand? The contact page, aside and section, this and this, right? So the three sharing button are inside and aside. The three sharing button are inside and aside, right? And then what is it? The three sharing button are inside and aside. This means, or this makes sense, they are related to the main content. So if you use them, you will share the page you are on. You understand? So they stay connected. The stay connected section. Look at the stay connected is a section. Look at the stay connected here. You understand this one, right? It's a section. Good. It is not related to the main content. And no other landmark will be appropriate. And one improvement that the White House can do with this landmark is to add labels, right? Like area labels, right? And this would be better for a screen reader, like section, and you add area label, say newsletter, or aside area label, share this page. You understand? So it will differentiate it easily so that we know that this one is what? A section, and this one is aside. Understand? Using what? Label, area label, as this one is newsletter, and this one is what? Share this page. So mostly that is how the accessibility works. let's look at the button and links. And so I think they are almost the same, explaining similar things. You understand? There are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. So sometimes I think the best way is to um, I think I should let you read some of them. Or what do you think? Because they are self-explanatory.
Yeah.
You understand? So if you
Mm.
read them, you understand them instead of me reading them and then trying to. So if you go through here, just read them. There are already a lot of examples. Just read, look at the example and read what is below. You understand? You understand it easy. Because if not, it will
Okay.
make this video longer, very long. So so far as you understand the logic, it is easy for you to apply. Just make sure you are at the accessibility section and then you read all of them. Look at the rule is there, the name, the value, the color contrast, the color meaning, meaningful image. If you go to the rule here, you see what the rule is. You understand? Rule, name, and value. They are also very important. So look at rule button, right? So rule button. And the name is what? Country code. Understand? It has what? Name attributes. Area label, country calling code. Name, country code. So that's why mostly you see an element having different what? Attributes with each property. You understand? So just read them, you see a lot of them is the same thing as we did. It just target a lot of attributes in the property. So we've known a lot of these elements. So what you just need to understand is the attribute which has been added. You understand? It just that it doesn't change anything like the functionality of the website or the element. It just adding like the meaning. You understand? It
Mm.
just add meaning to it. So for us, this one you see it's the added this. So this doesn't normally add anything in terms of the functionality of the website. What it add its meaning. That's why we say semantic elements. You understand? So all these things, some of the attributes that we see, normally you see it as maybe it is changing something, or maybe we are saying it add function to the element or something like that. But the main thing that changes functions with the HTML or with the DOM is JavaScript. You understand?
Mm.
These are only structures. So when you see something changes, we use this. It's just that it is not at the DOM, it's just within the HTML element or attribute which is added to the element. So it's not, it just give a meaning to that structure. You understand? Assuming you are building a house and then you are building a wall, you have the wall, but you have to get, let's say, cement to be able to hold the wall. You
Yeah.
understand? So these attributes, all of them are like cement, water. You understand? That you can put there to hold the wall. But the main thing they are there, the elements. So that is how you have to understand it. So sometimes it looks like maybe it add functions or something, but normally it's not all that function, but it adds, meaning. That's the best way to add meaning to the elements.
Mm.
Mhm. So that is normally
For this
what.
element, is it necessary to memorize them, or
Come again?
I say, is it important to memorize them, the elements?
No, no, no. We don't memorize in coding, as I told you initially. In coding, we don't memorize things. We understand things. We understand the logic. You understand? Because HTML is a simple structure. You understand? You have to understand the logic behind it. So if you always concentrate on the logic, it will help you in CSS, it will help you in JavaScript. Because it
Mm.
is in JavaScript that you use a lot of logical reasoning. You understand?
Yeah.
Because in JavaScript, we have something we call object orientation programming, OOP. That way is very, very, you have to use a lot of logic.
Mm.
So always we don't memorize code. That's why we have internet all around. If you don't understand something, Google it. No one will say, oh, why did you Google it? No, it is coding. You are doing something on internet, you have to be on the internet then. Learn things on the internet. If
Yeah.
people were to if people were to memorize things, there wouldn't be an internet then. You understand? Because why is this important if you are a developer and you are memorizing things? I don't see the good thing about it because nowadays I don't see people boasting of having memorized things. No, 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 it's not
Mm.
that. This is, and sorry for me to say, it's a lot of the mentality of maybe the education, especially in Africa. I
Mm.
understand, to just pass and go. So most of people just memorize things, and then even the person doesn't know what he is memorizing. He will memorize
Yeah.
things, go and pass the exams, and go his way. But at the end of the day, in the long run, it tends to hunt him. You understand? Because even a lot of look at all this mass, especially those in Africa. A lot of them they understand what they understand is just that they memorize a lot of stuffs. They didn't look at the logic behind it. So when you are learning something and you understand the logic behind it, it's very easy for you to apply it everywhere. So now, if you let's say you've learned JavaScript, you learn in JavaScript, we have variables, we have functions, we have if statements. You understand? We have comparison. Uh, so if you learn all these things in that same JavaScript, if you are to learn Python, you are going to meet same or similar logic because in Python we also have variables. You understand? In Python we have function, we have if statement. You understand? If you go to PHP, in PHP, the same thing. We have functions, we have if else statements. You understand? They are a lot. So it's the same logic. So if you understand the logic, it's easier for you. That's why internet is there. If you don't understand anything, Google it, read about it, and then apply it to your website and move. I don't see it wise to memorize. No, never. That's why even I told you to always look at this website. It's good. Oh, it's basics. It guides you all the text for it because there are a lot of languages there. Understand?
Yeah.
There are a lot of languages. You see HTML, CSS there, JavaScript there. So since we are under HTML, just be there, search for anything. Let's say you are looking for something you don't know. For instance, you want to look at what is maybe semantic element. You can just write from the search bar semantic element and type enter. It gives you different. Just maybe choose the first one. When you choose the first one, it takes you to semantic HTML semantic element. You start reading about it. What is it?
Mm.
It's there here. Header, now, section, article, aside. So this from this section, all of them take the what? The main. You understand?
Yeah.
So this all of these three things will be inside this main. You understand? So it's just simple. Just make sure you read a lot. But our problem nowadays is we always like to watch videos than reading. You understand? And a lot of information I am reading. If you read a lot, I understand. Mhm. That's why it is there. So you go there, look at it, and read it. That's why I don't want to go through this because it will take longer to read all of these stuff. And always it explains the same thing. And our aim is to learn the accessibility tricks and how to add it
Mm.
inside the website. So far that you understand this logic, you know how this works. You have to add a rule button, and if it is semantic, you don't need to add. You have to use the header instead of div. You understand the logic. So when you go to any section, you can read about it like this. Copy the code, even if you don't understand. Copy the code, take it inside what VS Code, put it there, and look at how it works. How you understand?
Yeah.
So I don't want to take long in the video. So I think, as I told you, just go and read all of this. It is there. Color is there. What description image test is there? Link, link test, heading level. All of them. Skip to link. This is very important. Skip links is very important. Understand how screen readers, I think how screen readers work. Forms, we did about forms. You remember labels, right? Labels.
Yeah.
We have autocomplete, we have errors, zoom introduction, text size, page zoom. And if you finish all this, you read it, then come like this. Let's take the quiz here. Click on the quiz. Just look at whether what you've read, can you implement it there? You understand? So you see, you can test your accessibility skills with this quiz. At the end of the day, if you try to do it like maybe 2, 3, or 4 times, it becomes easy for you. When you are building your own website, you remember all these stuff. Look at it has 25 questions. You understand? So you can just start the quiz. We start the quiz. So look, from the first place we started, right? When was version 1 of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines released? You understand? If you can
Mm.
remember, you just look at it. Or even if you cannot remember, you leave it and go. Maybe later, you go back again and check it again. You can just go and say, oh, I didn't remember. What was it? Come there, accessibility. It gives you where this accessibility. You go and start reading the introduction. What he's talking about. I look at it. He's talking about the version 1. So you go there and see, oh, what is the version 1? I go, this is the version 1. And what was the year? 1999, right? I go here, I've read it, or maybe I didn't remember it. Now I know it is 1999. I click on it, click next. And then after I finish, it gives me score. So maybe we have another question. What is wave? You understand? This two, right? It is wave. The one we are using here, wave, this. It is
Yeah.
accessibility tool, right? So you can just go there and read one of try the quiz. You look at how much did you got. That's it. Always just try. But if you are always waiting for me, they are always give you the basics. You understand? Because at the end of the day, you are not going to develop all of this. You understand? It is a compilation of knowledge that makes you a better developer. You learn one today, tomorrow you learn new one, tomorrow next you learn new one. That is how it compiles. Look, that's why I said coding doesn't have a time. Say that, oh, now I do everything. No. Even what you know, you have to go and revise on it. Because as technology keeps updating, you always have to also keep updating yourself. You understand? You
Mm.
also have to keep updating yourself because if today an Android version, maybe let's say it is 12 point something, tomorrow it will become 15 point something. So you also have to update your phone. So that is how technology is. I think it's better we call it a day, and then I'll stop here. Understand? And maybe by the ending of tomorrow, I'll try and send you the other video. So your this weekend project is to build a simple blog layout. You understand? So this blog layout will give you an opportunity to use all what you've learned so far from week 1 up to the week 3. Understand? So it doesn't, you don't have any, there's no boundary. It is just a what? A block layout that you can build. So inside the layout, you can put anything that you want, but make sure it follows what you've learned. It follows the structure. If you are going to use semantic element, use it wisely. Understand? If you are going to add forms, add a short form. If you are going to add tables, if you are going to add lists, just go inside website. Look at anything that maybe what are we talking about? Simple block layout, right? So if it is a block layout, you first think about what? Think about the semantic, right? Think about the
Yeah.
semantic element, because it is the one which gives you the layout, a proper layout, right? So these are the layouts.
Mm.
How does it? We have header, we have nav. So this nav can be inside the header. Is acceptable. That is mostly what people does. You understand? So some people can put the nav below and the header above, but normally the nav is inside the header. It depends on how you want the structure to be. But here you can put all these three section article aside, you can put them inside main. You understand? And then you have your footer again. So you have 3 layouts. But if you want to follow a simple blog layout, you can go online and search. Maybe you want a simple blog layout. Simple blog layout. You click, it gives you, maybe you can look at some of the images. You can just look at maybe this is a blog. This is the layout. Blog page, there's an image here, button. You understand? Or just through, just go through and look at some of the blogs. You can go through here, look at this. Just look at the one you can easily do it, understand, without wasting a lot of time. This one maybe it might be difficult for you because of the layout. Just look at the one which is simple for you and see that, oh, maybe I can do this. This is the header. I can have this header. I can write this as text, and then I can add this link, this. So maybe you can, this one look nice. You can try this for now, maybe. You understand?
Yeah.
You can just go there. Although I didn't say you should go and copy the code. Go ahead and make sure you do your own work. Just make sure you think about how to add all of whatever we've done so far. I hope you understand. If you're going to add audio, you can add it. If you are going to add video, if you are going to even add iframe, you can add it. That's why it's a simple blog, but make sure it follows blog. In blog, what do you have in blog? In blog layout. Understand? It's possible we can have an image, we can have an iframe, which for advertisement, you can have audio. You can have maybe a simple form for the person to comment so that you can take all the comment later. And so you can have a table to describe or give an analysis of something, some prices of market prices. You can have an ordered list to give the list of maybe some items of nutritions that you have. You understand? You can have images, tests. So that is all about it. Just make sure you do a good job, and then you are good to go. Okay.
Okay.
So I think you can call it today, and then I'll look at your project, and then maybe next week we will dive or we start with CSS, right? We
Yeah.
start with CSS, a new topic altogether. So for now, just concentrate on this. Make sure you apply all what you learned, because I'm expecting a lot of them, what you've learned, to be inside this blog.